Hello and welcome again to another session with the Cyber Professor. Today we will be talking about how to install Distributed File System or DFS role on a couple of Windows Server 2012 R2 boxes that we have set up in our virtual Cyber Lab. So let me walk you through the virtual Cyber Lab that we have set up here. So the configuration that we have created is as follows. We have two servers, one named DC1 for domain controller 1 and the second one named FS1 for file server 1. They are both running Windows Server 2012 R2. The IP configuration settings are statically assigned and they are listed here. They are also part of the same domain. So we set up DC1 as the domain controller for our Active Directory domain, and the domain settings are listed here on the bottom. So if this becomes really helpful for you, you may want to do a screenshot of these settings. That way you understand the virtual lab setup that we have created. So now we are going to move to the actual VMs that we need to access in order to do the installation of the distributed file system or DFS on these two boxes. So before we do that, let us understand what DFS is all about. So distributed file system or DFS is a set of technologies that enable a Windows server to organize multiple SMB file shares into a distributed file system. Although the shares can be on different servers, the location is transparent to the users. So it is very helpful as far as not having your users, your employees of your company, having to remember all the different server names that are part of your enterprise. Remember, in a real work environment, you will be dealing not with one, not with two servers. If you are dealing with a medium-sized company, for example, you will be dealing with a significant number of servers, and even more if you are dealing with a large corporation. So whenever you're in a real work environment, you will have to manage different servers. And if you, as the Windows administrator or server administrator, will have a difficult time remembering where every single folder or file is located as far as the different servers that you have on your enterprise, imagine how much difficult it will be for your users to remember how to find the files they are looking for. Is my finance file on server 1 or server 2 or server 5 or server 7? Is my human resources file on server 3, server 4, server 7? So you don't really have to memorize all those server names that are part of the enterprise. If you are the user, all you need to do is be given a namespace within your enterprise, and by using that namespace, you let Windows and you let Active Directory manage how to find that particular file within all the different servers that are part of the enterprise. But for that, you need to, as the administrator, the server administrator of the company, set up DFS or distributed file system roles on the servers that will be part of the corporate structure for the file allocation for your users. So we have again two servers that are running Windows Server 2012. The first one is FS1, and we are going to go through the installation of the role or roles that are needed. So for FS1, we are going to use this as our primary server for the DFS installation that we are conducting. So we go to the dashboard under Server Manager, we click on Add Roles and Features, we click on Next, and now we are going to do a role-based or feature-based installation. That is what DFS is all about. We select the server, it is the same one that we are dealing with, FS1, we click on Next. We are going to select File and Storage Services. So we need to click on the arrow right next to that. And we are going to click on the arrow one more time under File and ISCSI Services. And we select these two roles. And this is important. This is our main site. So we need to select DFS namespaces. That will be the first feature or technology that we are going to install related to DFS. And the second one on our main site, which is FS1, we are going to select DFS Replication. So remember, for the main site, in this case FS1 is our main site, file server 1, we are going to install both DFS namespaces and DFS replication. For the second server that we are going to set up, which is DC1, we are going to do only DFS replication. Okay, so we can do both at the same time. So let us go to the second server, since I have both of the VMs or virtual machines displayed at the same time for you. So we are going to click on next again, similar setup. So we are going to go under File and Storage Services. We are going to expand that. But in this case, on the second box, we are not doing DFS namespaces, we only do replication. So we are going to add the features and we are going to stop right there. We are going to go to the first box again. We are going to click on next, and we are going to install. So the installation is taking place on our first box, which is FS1 or File Server 1, and we are going to let that complete. It is going to take a few seconds. And it is about to complete for us, so this is pretty good. Now we are going to go back to the second box, which is our DC1 server. Again, we are only selecting DFS replication for that particular server. We do not need DFS namespaces. And then we are going to click on next. And then we are going to click on install. And as you can see, going back to the virtual machine on the left side of your window, you see that the installation succeeded on FS1, which is our main site. We are going to click on close and we are good to go. Now we have file and storage services available, so this is pretty good. That is proof that that is actually already installed. So we are going to go back to the dashboard and we are going to click on tools, and DFS management is right here, so that is pretty good. So we open DFS management on that particular server and we wait right there. So the installation succeeded on DC1 on the right, so you can see the message on the right, on the server to the right. So we are going to click on close and we are again good to go as well, because you see that file and storage services is another role that has been added to this server, and we should be good as far as the installation is concerned. So now we go back to the FS1 server. We are going to maximize that for you so you can have a better view. We are going to do the DFS management tasks that are needed. So we are going to click on namespaces. We are going to right click and we are going to select new namespace. So for the new namespace, we are going to select, for example, cyber namespace. Well, first, before that, we are going to select the server name, right? So we are going to do FS1. We're going to check names. It's asking for our credentials, so we need to do administrator. And we are going to enter the password that we selected for that account. Let's see. And we are going to click on OK. Windows found the server, so it is good. So we are going to click on OK. FS1 is the server, so we are going to click on Next. And now it is asking us for the actual namespace. So this name will appear after the server or domain name in the namespace path, such as server name or domain name. So in our case, we are going to use cyberlab namespace. And we are going to click on next. And now we have the domain name, cyberlab.com, and the name of the namespace, cyberlab namespace. Of course, we are using these for demonstration purposes. For your organization, you are going to use a namespace that is easy to remember for the users. It complies with the company policies that have been set up by the business and also by the IT organization. So you're going to use the namespace that best applies for you. Now, as far as the domain-based or standalone choices that we have in front of us, we are going to go with a domain-based approach because that replicates the typical setup that you're going to see in an organization. So for the most part, if you already have Active Directory domain services installed in your enterprise, which is pretty much 99.9% of enterprises out there, so you're going to benefit by having a domain-based namespace setup. So that is the one that we are going to select here. We are going to click on next. And now it is asking us to review the settings. We are fine with that. We click on create. So our namespace has been created, which is pretty good. We don't have any issues. We can close. So now we have a namespace that is ready to go pretty much. Now we need to go to replications, and we are going to do the same thing. We're going to do the replication, new replication group. And this will be a multi-purpose replication group. So we are going to click on next. We're going to set up a name for our replication group, so we can say cyber replication group. We don't need any description for the purposes of a lab. The domain remains the same, cyberlab.com. We click on next. Now we need to add the servers that are going to be part of this replication group, right? So we need to select FS1 as the first one. Of course, it is asking us to authenticate and make sure that we have the ability to make changes to this domain. So FS1 has been added. Now we need to do the second one, which is DC1. And this may take a little bit longer because it is going to do some verification that all the requirements on DC1 have been met. And let us make sure that I typed the correct. Okay, DC1 is right here. We click on OK, and it is right here. So both servers have been added to the replication group. Now we can click on next. And we are going to select full mesh. That is the best way to create your topology within the Active Directory domain setup. We click on next. We are going to bypass the setup of schedules. By that I mean days and times. You have the ability to set up a schedule for the replication. Remember, there will be files that are going to be replicated between different servers. So as a good server administrator, you must coordinate all of these setups with your other departments within IT, within information technology, if you're working for a medium or large size company in which you have other people different from your group that are in charge of the management of the network. So this replication will add to the network traffic that the company will see on a given time, and the network traffic is typically managed by your network administrators and the network team within information technology that works for the organization that you are a member of. So you must coordinate all of these activities with them, and you must let them know about the approach that you're going to take. So if you're planning on doing a schedule, specify the days and times. In this case, for demonstration purposes, we are going to do the full bandwidth. Replication will be continuous. So we are going to click on next. And then which of the two servers is the primary? The primary is FS1. We are going to select FS1 here, and we are going to click on next. We need to select a folder that is going to be the one that is going to get replicated. So we are going to click on add, and we are going to do C for the C drive of FS1, and we are going to do cyber file repository. Okay, and now we are going to click on OK. It's asking us if we want to create it, and we say yes, and it has been created. So that will be the location that is going to get replicated. To select a folder on the primary member that you want to replicate to other members of the replication group, click add. So we have added that. We click on next. To specify the local path of the replicated folder or whether the folder is read-only, select the appropriate member and then click on edit. So this will be the folder that we are going to replicate. So we are going to enable this, and we are going to we want to do that later. So we are going to click it, let it be disabled, and then click on next. Do you want to continue? And we say yes, and then we can create. So we have full success, no errors, as you can see. No errors occur during the installation, and we click on close. Replication will not begin until the configuration is picked up by the members of the replication group. The amount of time this takes depends on Active Directory domain services, replication latency, as well as the polling interval. So on a real enterprise environment, this may take some time, so just make sure that you don't expect the results to be available to you right away. So the replication group is right here. Let us take a look at it. Just make sure that we see everything. So the replicated folder is not published, so we need to share and publish in namespace. So share and publish the replicated folder in a namespace. So we click on next, FS1. So the parent folder in namespace. So in this case, we want to make sure that we select the namespace that we created earlier. So we click on OK. And now we click on next. And now we share. And we were successful, so we click on OK. This has been published, so it's ready to go. Perfect. So now we move to server number 2. So we are going to log on to server number 2, and server number 2 for the purposes of this lab is our domain controller, or DC1. So we have tools right here. We have DFS management, which is what we want to open, and we want to make sure that we don't have to set up namespaces, but we need to make sure that we have the replication set up for the folder that we are trying to access. So we have the cyber replication group right here, so that is good. And we see the replicated folder published to namespace. So everything seems to be working fine. So the connection is here. Perfect. So you should be good to go. Just make sure that you follow all the steps that we have defined, and then you will be okay. So the last step that we need to complete here on DC1 is to make sure that we enable the local path for the replication to be completed. So we are going to right click on the actually go to the cyber replication group, and then go to the memberships. And as you can see, for DC1 we do not have a local path defined, so we need to enable that by right clicking and selecting enable. DC1 will be the member server that we are going to work on. We're going to browse, we are going to go to the C drive, we are going to make a new folder. In this case, we're going to utilize the same name, which is cyber file repository, if I remember well. If not, we can make a correction after that. So we are going to select on OK. So that will be the local path that we are going to use. and we are going to edit for the permissions, all users, administrators, so we are good. Local path, so here will be okay, and now we are going to click on OK, and there you go. You have the local path set up for this server on DC1, and you have the path on FS1. If you want to make sure that you have both, if you go to the FS1 server that I have here on the left and you open Windows Explorer, you have the C drive and you have the cyber file repository listed here. And if you go to DC1, which is your redundant server for the purposes of the DFS installation that we conducted, and you go to Windows Explorer, you're going to go to the C drive and you see the cyber file repository folder already created here. So with that said, we have set up DFS the namespace first on FS1, and we also completed the replication setup for DFS, and we have the two folders set up on each of those two servers. Thank you very much. Until next time.